Right now, somewhere in the world, someone is 16 hours into a fast and about to quit. They have a headache, they're irritable, their brain feels slow, they think something is wrong with them. Something is happening, but it's not what they think. 3,000 years ago, a man named Elijah sat down under a tree in the middle of a desert and asked God to let him die. He was exhausted. He hadn't eaten in days. He was completely done. Then something shifted. He kept going for 40 more days. Modern scientists have now studied what happens to the human body during an extended fast, stage by stage, hour by hour. What they found maps almost exactly onto what the Bible described, thousands of years before anyone had words like ketosis, autophagy, or metabolic switching. There are 7 stages. Most people, ancient and modern, quit at stage 3. What I want to show you is what's actually happening inside your body at each one, why stage 3 feels like hitting a wall, and why the people in Scripture who pushed through it came out the other side completely different. By the end, you'll understand why the 40-day fast isn't just a miracle story. It's a metabolic one, and there's a version you can start this week. Let's start at the beginning. Hour 0. You haven't eaten anything yet. Your body doesn't know that yet either. Your blood has enough glucose to keep you going for a few hours. Your liver has a small reserve. Think of it like a backup battery called glycogen. It holds maybe 400 calories worth of stored sugar. Your muscles have a little more. For the first 6 hours, your body burns through that reserve quietly. You don't feel much. You might think about food, but you're fine. Daniel was offered the king's food, the best food in the world. Meat, wine, royal cuisine. He turned it down, asked for vegetables and water for 10 days instead. His body was about to go through something specific, something his captors couldn't see and wouldn't understand for another 3,000 years. He was at stage 1, the easy part. Around the 6-hour mark, your body sends out a signal. It's called ghrelin, a hormone your stomach releases when it expects food and doesn't get it. And it doesn't ask nicely. Ghrelin is the physical sensation of hunger, the growling, the restlessness, the inability to think about anything else. Here's what most people don't know. Ghrelin peaks once and then drops. It doesn't keep climbing. It hits a ceiling, holds for a while, and then the signal fades on its own. But most people never find that out. They eat at the peak. They never see what's on the other side. The Bible doesn't romanticize this part. Every fasting narrative acknowledges the moment when the body demands to return to normal. The test at stage 2 isn't willpower. It's just waiting out a hormone. Daniel waited. By day 3, something in his body had changed. By day 10, you could see it on his face. But between stage 2 and stage 4, there's a stage nobody warns you about. This is where almost everyone stops, ancient and modern. You've made it past the hunger peak. You think the hard part is over. And then you feel terrible. Headache, irritability, brain fog, a heaviness in your limbs that feels like you're coming down with something. Here's what's actually happening. Your backup battery just ran out. Your body has been burning through its glucose reserves since hour 0. By now, they're nearly gone. And your body needs to switch to a completely different fuel source, fat. But that switch doesn't happen instantly. There's a gap, a transition period where the old fuel is gone and the new system hasn't fully started yet. Modern researchers call it the fasting flu. It's not a malfunction, it's a handover. Think of it like switching engines on a plane mid-flight. There's a moment where nothing feels right. Then the new engine catches and the flight continues. Elijah hit stage 3 in the desert. He'd been traveling for days. He sat down under a tree and said out loud that he wanted to die. He wasn't being dramatic. He was at the exact physiological moment when the body is screaming at you to stop. An angel brought him food. He ate. He slept. The angel came back and fed him again. Then Elijah stood up and walked for 40 more days. The Bible doesn't tell him to push through on willpower. It feeds him, rests him, and lets the transition complete. Then the journey continues. Most people quit here and never know what was waiting on the other side. The fog lifts. It doesn't happen dramatically. You don't feel a click. But somewhere between hour 24 and hour 48, your body completes the handover. It's now running on fat instead of glucose. The headache is gone. The irritability fades. The hunger, the real screaming hunger, quiets down. And your mind, which felt slow and heavy just hours ago, starts to sharpen. This is ketosis. Your liver converts fat into molecules called ketones, and your brain runs on them very well. Daniel 1 records that by day 10, Daniel and his friends looked healthier than every person eating the royal diet, fairer and fatter in flesh, better than the people eating the best food in Babylon. His body had made the switch, and it showed on his face. Modern people spend weeks trying to reach ketosis through special diets and tracking apps. Biblical fasting hits it in 24 to 48 hours. The method is older than the name. Something else starts around day 2 or 3. Something smaller. Something your body does completely without your awareness. Your cells begin cleaning themselves. Every cell in your body accumulates debris over time. Damaged proteins, worn-out parts, cellular junk that builds up the way dust collects in a corner. Normally, your body doesn't have the resources to deal with it. It's busy processing food. When food stops coming, the body redirects. It starts breaking down that debris and recycling it for fuel. The process is called autophagy. Auto meaning self, phagy meaning eating. Your body eats its own broken parts and clears them out. In 2016, a Japanese scientist named Yoshinori Osumi won the Nobel Prize for discovering how autophagy works. His research showed that extended fasting is one of the most powerful ways to trigger it. The Bible didn't have a word for autophagy, but the 3-day marker appears consistently across fasting narratives. Esther fasted 3 days. Paul fasted 3 days after Damascus. Jonah was in the fish for 3 days. The number isn't always symbolic. Sometimes it's physiological. Something actually changes at day 3. Modern science now knows what it is. By this point, something unusual starts happening in your mind. People who have fasted into this range describe a sharpness, a quiet, a reduced need for sleep. Problems that felt complicated begin to simplify. The noise that's always running in the background of your thoughts starts to go still. There's a protein your brain produces called BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. It helps neurons connect, repair, and grow. Extended fasting raises BDNF levels significantly. Your brain isn't just surviving without food. In some ways, it's being rebuilt. Every major biblical fasting narrative places visions, revelation, and clarity of purpose in this range. Moses receives the law. Elijah hears what the text calls a still small voice. After the wind, after the earthquake, after the fire. A sound that can only be heard in total silence. The science explains the mechanism. It doesn't explain everything, but it explains the mechanism. This is where most of us stop reading. 40 days feels impossible. For most people, under normal conditions, it is. But 3 people in Scripture are recorded completing it: Moses, Elijah, Jesus. All 3 in states of deep isolation. All 3 emerging with a clarity that defined everything that came after. A researcher at the University of Southern California named Walter Longo has spent decades studying what extended fasting does to the human body at the deepest level. His findings show that somewhere in this range, the body does something that shouldn't be possible. It begins regenerating its immune system from scratch. Old immune cells break down, new ones form. The biological age of certain tissues measurably decreases. He calls it a reset, not a metaphor, a measurable, documented biological reset. 3,000 years before Walter Longo's lab, the Bible recorded 3 men completing a 40-day fast and coming back different. Not just spiritually, physically. Moses' face glowed when he came down from the mountain. The text says people were afraid to look at him directly. We don't know exactly what that means, but we know something happened to his body up there. And we're only beginning to understand what a 40-day fast actually does. You don't have to fast for 40 days. Daniel's 10-day fast is documented and specific: vegetables and water, 10 days. His results were measurable enough that a Babylonian official could see them on his face. Stage 3 happens within 24 hours. The wall Elijah hit in the desert, the headache, the fog, the heaviness, that's the transition. That's your body switching fuel sources. It's not a sign that something is wrong, it's a sign that something is starting. The people in Scripture who made it through Stage 3 weren't tougher than you. They understood something that modern fasting research is only now putting into words. The hard part isn't permanent. It's a stage. And the things waiting on the other side, the clarity, the renewal, the reset, those aren't miraculous. They're metabolic. They were always metabolic. We just finally have names for them now.